Hey everybody, welcome back to JT Channel. Before we jump into my Smackdown review, which I have a lot to say, it's all good, don't worry, mostly good. Anyway, quick things. One, yes, I did say I would do a Dynamite review this week. I did record one, it just didn't come out good. I ended up being very busy on the phone during my lunch break, so by the time I got to do it, it was in my car for one, which is iffy. I don't mind doing it, but I wasn't sure about it, and then I also felt like I was rushed towards the end. I didn't like that, so maybe next week I'll do a Dynamite review. Speaking of, second thing, I have some big plans for next week. I'm going to tell you guys at the very end, so stick through to the end, and I'll tell you what my plans are for next week. And third, I'm going to stop trying to remember weekly shows bit by bit like I do with pay-per-views. Pay-per-views are a little different, especially with WWE. They have 4 matches, maybe 5, and I can just go boom, 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 boom. AEW is obviously a little different. They have 14 matches, and usually I have to write them down. But for now, for the weekly stuff, if I ever do it, when I ever do it, again, we'll talk about next week later. It'll probably just be kind of in whatever order I want. So be ready for that. But the first thing we need to talk about is the fact that we have a brand new WWE Champion, and his name is Drew McIntyre. A fantastic 3 Stages of Hell match, commercial-free, which I appreciated. Raw tends to have too many ads, and SmackDown, while it still has ads, is on TV, so it doesn't feel like as many. And then the last hour of SmackDown was commercial-free, which was fantastic stuff. Just really, really good. I'm very happy that so far it doesn't seem like anybody has... Oh, God, here we go again with this crap. Hello. Okay. Doesn't seem like anybody has compared it to the Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin one from 2001. Hold on. Okay, I think I fixed it for now. Anyway, I was a little worried that since it was the same match lineup that they had, that too many people would be, for the love of God. Sorry, I'm not 100% sure where I left off, but you know how these videos go sometimes. They get a little crazy. But the point is, it was a fantastic matchup, and you really should go out of your way to see it. The first fall, of course, was the singles match, regular wrestling match. As soon as the bell rang, Cody ran at Drew, which made sense. He couldn't touch Drew until the match started, and Drew did all these horrible things over the last few weeks, and then decided, let's have a match. And Cody ran at him. They did beat each other up quite a bit in the first match. I'm not surprised how the first fall went. Cody was doing German suplexes, which I thought was cool, especially to Drew McIntyre. Drew went to get out of one. He grabbed the top turnbuckle, pulled the actual buckle pad off. Referee was like, "What are you doing, you absolute moron?" Goes to put it back. Low blow. Claymore. 1, 2, 3. The Claymore. The bump that Cody Rhodes takes off that Claymore. The bump in the cell off that Claymore is amazing. Cody knows how to put people over. He always has. People just assume he's never going to put anyone over ever. But Drew McIntyre wins the first fall. We go into Falls Count Anywhere. They take it literally, which I enjoyed a lot. What I enjoyed a lot, was the ring announcer, Alicia Taylor, pointing out that they can pin each other anywhere in the arena. I don't know why I like that so much. I know back in the Attitude Era, we would get matches that would end outside, which were fine. And we've had stuff like that since the Attitude Era, too. There was a pay-per-view a long time ago where Dean Ambrose took on Luke Harper, I think it was, in a Falls Count Anywhere match or something, and they left the arena and came back later and finished the match. I thought that was really unique back then. But putting little things like that, little rules in there, I think is unique. It really gets you invested. It's like, oh, so they have to fight in the arena. They fought outside the ring, they fought in the crowd, they fought in the back, they were throwing each other into a garage door, hitting each other with anything that wasn't nailed down. Cody did this awesome dive through a table. I know I'm underselling it, but he set Drew McIntyre up on a table in the crowd, then climbed up to one of those balconies and just jumped on Drew McIntyre, who kicked out at 2. That impressed me. Surprised me more than anything else. I thought for sure that'd be a good way for Cody to get a fall, but instead, what we got was they brawled back to the ringside area. Cody hit a crossroads through the announce table, which always looks good, especially when the announce table actually breaks. And Cody got the 1, 2, 3. We're 1-1. Into the steel cage we go. It was Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes in the steel cage. They were throwing each other into it, off of it, all around it. Big moves left, right, and center. And just when it looked like Drew was actually going to win, a hooded man, WWE's favorite thing to do, runs out and knocks over Charles Robinson. Poor Charles Robinson. The freeze frame of Charles getting knocked over is hilarious. His face is, But, of course, it was Jacob Fatu. Of course it was. He gets in there. He starts beating up Drew McIntyre. And then Cody... Hold on, let's see if I can get him to calm down in the video. Cody goes to stop him. I don't know why you'd stop him, but, you know, Cody, he's a baby face. He's the baby face. He wants to win without any help. Then Jacob Fatu starts punching him in the face. I thought that was cool. Jacob's like, no, I'm done. I'm here for one person and one person only, and that person is Jacob Fatu. Starts beating up Cody. Drew McIntyre realizes Cody Rhodes is busy, and he escapes the cage, which is going to tie into future stories because he keeps talking about how he gets screwed and the interference and this and that. But then as soon as someone was helping him, he took a low blow. He used a low blow in the first match. And then he let Jacob Fatu beat up Cody Rhodes so he could then escape the cage. Drew McIntyre is your new WWE Champion. Again, awesome. I love this. I love Drew McIntyre. I love Jacob Fatu. I love Cody Rhodes. This whole story is great. We then got this cool bit at the end, where Jacob was staring at Drew like, oh, damn, I can't believe I let you get away. And then Cody ran in and threw him into the cage and kind of beat him up a little bit. And now Cody's pissed. Cody might have been bleeding. I actually don't remember. I kind of dozed off at one point. 3 hours is too long for a televised wrestling show. But anywho, it was an awesome match. Really happy for Drew McIntyre. And I like the fact that it really doesn't feel like we are going to jump straight into a rematch. I will explain later because I had to write this down. There's a mini tournament starting next week. And I had to write it down. But the only reason I don't want to talk about it immediately is because they kind of set the scene throughout the night. So we'll talk about all that in just a moment. But this was awesome. Period. That's it. You can do Drew and Jacob. You can do Cody and Jacob. You can do a triple threat match. That'd be awesome. Jacob Fatu, Drew McIntyre, and Cody Rhodes. That's not what they're going to do at the Rumble. Again, we'll talk about it. But a fantastic ending to SmackDown. Overall, SmackDown was good. It was never going to be as good as last week because you had all this hype with all these new wrestlers showing up, with Matt Cardona returning / debuting in WWE. You had the ambulance match, which, 2 weeks in a row of, intense rivalry finishes. I don't think this rivalry is done, but you get my point. You had an ambulance match in the 3 Stages of Hell. So, 2 good SmackDowns in a row. I'd like this comparison. I don't know if anyone else noticed it, but on Raw, we had 3 title matches. 2 titles changed hands. The main event championship stayed on the champion. On SmackDown, we had 3 title matches. 2 championships were retained while the main event championship changed hands. I think that's cool. I don't know if WWE did it on purpose or not. I kind of hope they did, because then I kind of feel like I figured it out. But it was good. As far as other title matches go, we did have Julia against Alexa Bliss, which was fine. It was out of nowhere, but it turns out Charlotte's sick, like in real life. So they even had her on the phone with Charlotte, which I thought was funny. It's Julia versus Alexa Bliss. Julia has all this world-renowned experience. She's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Alexa Bliss has been with WWE for ages and ages and ages now. She's entered that upper echelon where even if she turned heel, I don't know if we could boo her because she's been around for so long. Julia got the rub, sort of. There was interference in this match, but it's fine. Like, normally I'd be pretty pissed about interference in such a big, high-profile match, but if you do it right, it's fine. And that happened in both of the matches that I've talked about so far. Jacob Fatu coming back and attacking Drew and also attacking Cody perfectly makes sense, perfectly fine. I'm sure Drew was the one who attacked him, but he also was probably like, Cody, you weren't there. What the? And then this, before the matchup, Lash Legend and Nia Jax popped in and were like, look, Charlotte isn't here because you want a singles title, and she thinks that it should be all about her. And Alexa was like, no, that's you, Nia. You're the selfish one. So then when the match came around, of course, Lash Legend shoved Alexa off the top rope when the referee was distracted, and then Julia hit her. It's like a Northern Lights bomb or something. I don't even know what to call it. It looks badass. 1, 2, 3. Regardless of how she did it, Julia does have a win over Alexa Bliss, and that's massive. That is massive. So if they keep pushing Julia and keep pushing the women's U.S. title like they were the Women's Intercontinental Championship, then we're in good hands. Really wish they'd do more with Kiana James. Whatever. After the match, Lash Legend and Nia beat up Alexa. I don't remember what Lash did, but she beat up Alexa, and then Nia hit the Annihilator. Good stuff all around, I think. I think it's a good chance to continue this women's tag team title stuff. Like, yeah, using a women's United States Championship matchup to push the women's tag team title division forward doesn't always work because that's crossing too many streams. But I think as long as they keep the stuff going with Julia, maybe give her a proper feud soon, it'll all be fine. Plus, the women's tag team titles have been featured more than ever the last few months, and it's been great. The other championship match was Carmelo Hayes' U.S. Open Challenge, and his opponent was Shinsuke Nakamura. This was fantastic. I use that word a lot. Honestly, I might have enjoyed this match more than I enjoyed the main event because the main event was technically 3 separate contests, right? Whereas this was a contained match between 2 of the best wrestlers that WWE has. You have got Shinsuke Nakamura, who we all know how good he is, and Carmelo Hayes. If you don't know how good he is, you're learning. They did this great thing with his leg where Shinsuke did something to it, and he just kept beating on it and beating on it and beating on it. So Carmelo was having trouble doing certain moves, or if he did like a springboard or something, when he landed it, he'd sit there and sell his leg. Great selling by Carmelo. Lots of one-legged springboards as well. Like, I think he did a springboard DDT and just used one leg. But in the end, he did hit, I think he hit the first 48 while Shinsuke was on the way to hit the Kinshasa. Like, he hit like a top rope Kinshasa. I guess you could call it that. Calling it the top rope Kinshasa makes it seem like he should have won the match because it's his finish. So I just called it a top rope knee strike. Went through the Kinshasa. He hits the first 48, which is just a code breaker. Hits a nothing but net. Retains his U.S. title. Really good stuff. And before this, he had met with Ilya Dragunov. And he's like, I want to run it back. And Ilya was like, we will one day, but I got something to take care of, which again, we'll talk about. But yeah, this was, for me, this was my favorite match of the night. While I loved everything Cody and Drew did, while it is one match, it is 3 separate ideas. Whereas for some reason, the Carmelo Shinsuke thing was just really good. Good seeing Shinsuke back on TV. He shook Carmelo's hand, and I forgot how tall Shinsuke Nakamura is. Bring him back more often. Like, keep Shinsuke on TV. Do something with him. I hate that he's not utilized all that much. We also had the in-ring debut for the main roster SmackDown of Jordynne Grace. She was doing a backstage thing with Nick Aldis. He's like, I officially welcome you to SmackDown, which cracks me up. Back in the day when an NXT superstar would show up, you sometimes get a video package or you get a surprise. Like, I'm out here going to yell and scream and blah, blah, blah. And then here comes the NXT guy to beat you up or be an open challenge or a tag partner. Nowadays, for the most part, you just see him in the backstage area a few times and they go, and now I'm on Raw or SmackDown. So we did that with Jordynne Grace. She got into an argument with Chelsea Green and Alba Fire. I guess I should slow down. I had to catch my breath. They ended up having a match, Alba Fire versus Jordynne Grace. Alba Fire continues to be really good. I mean, it's former Kaylee Ray, who I watched all the time on the indie scene. I loved Kaylee Ray. Love that she's Alba Fire now. Loved her at NXT. She's doing good in the Secret Harvest. It's all fine. But this was clearly just a vehicle to put Jordynne Grace over. I think she threw Alba into Chelsea to knock Chelsea off the rope and then hit her big move, whatever the hell it's called. Like, I don't know, the Jordynne Grace big move. And she won. The only thing that I don't like is, what is it? I can't even think of his name. Def Rebel. The fucking... No, that's wrong. No, that's not Def. Is it Def? I don't know. The point is, whoever the current guy making WWE themes is, they let him give Jordynne Grace a new song. It's fine, but I like the sirens. I love the Scott Steiner presentation of Jordynne Grace. I always enjoyed that. So it's fine if you want to give her own character. I get that. WWE wants to do their own thing with her, and that's absolutely fine. She's still freaking Jordynne Grace, which afterwards, as she was heading back to the back, she got interrupted by Jade Cargill, which, again, give me that. That match needs to be the WrestleMania match. I know we're teasing it in January, and WrestleMania is not until April. I don't care. That needs to be the WrestleMania match. I don't care if Jordynne has to win the Rumble or the Chamber or some 16-person tag team match. That doesn't make any sense. What am I talking about? But Jordynne Grace versus Jade Cargill, as much as I'd like to see it yesterday, I would hold off till WrestleMania just because then you could crown Jordynne at Mania. That's what I would do. That's just me. But she also Jade came out and said that she was that bitch. So we're back doing that again. I missed that. That was my favorite version of Jade Cargill from AEW. She even had the glasses that said that bitch. I wanted those. Oh, I wanted those glasses so badly. So yeah, we're still teasing that feud as well. Again, I don't know when we jump into it. If they do it at the Rumble, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to argue seeing Jade Cargill versus Jordynne Grace at the Rumble. But I stand by what I said. I would hold it off for now, just because they've been interacting so much. Let them do other stuff and kind of build towards each other, one way or another. You also had a bunch of segments throughout the night. Not too many. Not too many. It still didn't. I still got a little exhausted by the end of the show because 3 hours is a long time again, especially for a weekly wrestling program. Like, you just kind of want it to be 2 hours, then you move on. But the opening of the show, Randy Orton came out, started cutting a promo. He was interrupted by Trick Williams. They had a really good back and forth. Trick said he was Mr. This, that, and the other. He had like all these numbers, like 3 chains, 2 title reigns, whatever. He said a bunch of. It was really cool. I can't sound like Trick Williams, so I'm not going to say it. And then he said to Randy Orton that this ain't 2006, this is 2026, and it's going to be my year, which that was a great line. It also makes you realize just how long Randy Orton's been in the game. I think this is like his 24th year in WWE. He's quite literally wrestled nowhere else since 2002. So awesome back and forth. Then Orton said, I got to sit here and talk about how many kids and wives I have and how big I am, even though he told us how many kids he has, talked about his hot wife. That's a thing in wrestling. You talk about how hot your wife is. And then said it's not about all that, it's about titles. The only number I care about, which is 14, that's how many world titles I've held. Again, a great line. Then Trick started talking. He walked away from Orton, said a few things, and then Orton was like, look, you don't ever turn your back on me. You do it again, I'm going to drop you with an RKO. Then there might have been more back and forth, but he said, I'm not going to whoop that Trick. I'm going to beat your ass. I don't know why I love that so much. It was fantastic. Then they got into a bit of a brawl, which I'd be remiss to point out that Trick smacked the microphone out of Orton's hand, and then he visibly went, oh shit, and then looked back at Orton real quick. I think he might have, it hit the barricade or it hit a fan. I don't know. The point is, it was funny because Trick had to break character because he was like, oh no, oh no. But then they got into a bit of a brawl. Orton hits the draping DDT, goes set up for the RKO. The Miz comes in, tries to beat up Randy Orton, fails, gets RKO'd again. Before we jumped into the match between Rey Fenix and Trick Williams. I love that they're putting Trick against these top tier stars. He has interrupted Cody Rhodes. He's now interrupted Randy Orton. He's in a big time thing next week, which I keep putting off because it's all leads to it, I promise. But then we got the match between Rey Fenix and Trick Williams. I don't know what to tell you. It's Rey Fenix and Trick Williams. Rey Fenix flew around the place like he doesn't know what gravity is. Trick Williams kept absolutely wrecking him with slams and drop kicks and just... Trick is really athletic too, but he's really built this persona up as a guy who, yes, can run around and fly around, but is most likely just going to kick your ass. He ended up winning with a roll-up. I didn't care for that personally. I thought we were going to get some shenanigans, maybe a little bit of cheating, maybe like pulled at the mask or something, but eventually a trick shot would have been good. Not everybody in the main roster audience, if that's what you want to call them, is going to know who Trick Williams is. The trick shot is such a good finish. Just a personal pet peeve. I don't mind roll-up finishes. I don't mind surprise finishes. I don't mind disqualifications, countouts. Do whatever you want to do. It's professional wrestling. You literally can write down whatever you want on that piece of paper and let it go. Remember one time, somebody decided it'd be a good idea to have the Sandman wrestle a zombie. So never talk about that again. I'm sure I will one day. But the point is, you can do whatever you want. So it's fine that Trick won with a roll-up because Trick won, but he rolled him up and held the tights instead of just hitting the trick shot and winning. We'll see. Maybe that'll happen next week. Trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. There was more backstage segments. Matt Cardona had an interview, and then he met up with Cody Rhodes. Cody kept getting booed throughout the night, which was really funny because Cody kept getting booed like he was freaking, I don't know, the worst man ever. Maybe he's the guy who killed Santa Claus. But as soon as his music hit, the crowd had to sing along to his music. You can't, just because you don't like the guy doesn't mean you can't like their music. There was this really funny segment that lasted about 8 seconds. It went by so fast, I didn't even know what was going on. But Fraxium were talking in the back, and all of a sudden Axiom started beating up Nathan Frazier, and I was like, are we doing an Axiom heel turn in the backstage area on a random episode of Smackdown? What the fuck? Have they even teased this? And as these questions were coming out, he took his mask off. It was Johnny Gargano. I think Candice LeRae showed up right before he unmasked, so it was kind of obvious what was happening. Then actual Axiom came out. So we're continuing that feud, even though Tommaso Ciampa is supposedly leaving now. I don't know when his contract is up, so I don't know if we do like one more DIY match. Maybe they do a match where we're all aware that Tommaso Ciampa is leaving, It's like his farewell match. It's like Fraxium versus DIY, Tommaso Ciampa's farewell match. I'd be down for that. But we'll see about all that goes. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything because I have such a... Even when I have stuff out of order, I have such a hard time remembering each and everything. There was an Obafemi video. I want to make sure I talked about that because when it came on, I think I was scrolling social media during one of the ad breaks. When it came on, I slammed my phone on the couch because even though it's probably the exact same little video every week, I can't help but watch it. And don't be weird about it. It's Obafemi. Whatever show he goes on, he should kill it. I saw somebody suggest recently that he should debut at the Rumble and break the record. I'm a little hesitant on that because I think the record for regular Rumbles is 13, whereas the record that was set in the Greatest Royal Rumble is 15. Now, there were 50 people in that Rumble, so 15 in that many isn't really that crazy. 15 in a regular Rumble is half the field. Maybe Brock Lesnar did do that. Maybe Brock Lesnar eliminated 15 people. I'm sorry, I don't have everything. The point is, if you want to debut Obafemi in the Rumble and you want to have him chuck out 10 people, that's fine. Do you have him break the record in his first Rumble? I don't know. It would be a good way to sell him, but then whoever eliminates Obafemi has to be eaten at WrestleMania. And I don't mean that figuratively. I mean that at WrestleMania, Obafemi has to murder the person and then eat them live on television. Or pay-per-view, I'm sorry. ESPN. Anyway, but seriously, when Obafemi shows up, if WWE treats him any differently than they were on NXT, they've made a huge mistake. Don't treat him like you treated Goldberg in the early 2000s. Just treat him like a monster. Let him beat everybody. Give him the belt. Give him the Bob Holly treatment, right? Give him the Bob Holly treatment. And so now that I've set the scene, we then found out that Nick Aldis has put together a little tournament. This is really cool. I've missed a few things, so I'll cover them as I cover this. But basically, next week on SmackDown, there's going to be 4 singles matches. The winners of all those matches will take each other on in a Fatal 4-Way match. I think it's Fatal 4-Way. I doubt it's elimination. At Saturday night's main event, which I believe is in Canada. And the winner of that will face the WWE Champion, who is now Drew McIntyre, at the Royal Rumble. So that's really cool. My only issue with it is that Saturday night's main event takes place 1 week before the Rumble, so we're not going to get any sort of proper build. You're going to get one SmackDown where the champion and the challenger are going to go rah, 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 rah. Excuse me. So not a huge problem. WWE does this stuff all the time. They're like, I mean, on this show, they just threw Alexa Bliss in a title match, and she even mentioned as much. She's like, I didn't know about the match until today. So I thought that kind of buried the idea of number 1 contenders, but another video for another day. But next week, we're getting Matt Cardona versus Trick Williams. I mentioned the Matt Cardona, Cody Rhodes thing. He also said to Cody, I didn't just come back so I could be back in the WWE. I came back for that title. So everybody coming for Cody, and Trick's been saying he wants the world title. So that's an interesting one because I really don't think you should be beating Matt Cardona already. And the same thing for Trick, right? You shouldn't be beating either one of these guys yet. So I'm curious about that one. Randy Orton versus The Miz. What year is it? That's a feud from a decade and a half ago, but it's cool. It's fine. It's nostalgic, right? Every time these two fight each other, it reminds you of when The Miz cashed in his Money in the Bank. Angry Miz Girl, one of the most infamous cash-ins ever. Good stuff. I assume Orton's going to win that one. I'd be really surprised if The Miz won. Unless they have some big plans. But anyway, Randy Orton versus The Miz. Damian Priest versus Solo Sikoa. Now, I have no recollection of Solo Sikoa saying anything about a world title or anything. I think they're just giving us a good match so that when Damian wins, it'll be a big win. No, it's nothing against Solo Sikoa. I love Solo Sikoa, but somebody's yelling at me in the comments right now. They had the 8-man tag team match last night. See, this is why I can't do stuff in order. Last night we did do the MFTs versus the Wyatts, and the MFTs won. I think Tama Tonga pinned somebody. I don't remember. It was a really good match. It was. While this feud has been going on for longer than I've been alive, it was a really, really good match. And they said they want the tag titles as well, so the feud's not over yet. And I don't mind long feuds. I don't mind elongated feuds. I mean, The Rock and John Cena technically feuded for a whole year. But it does kind of feel like this feud needs to come to an end. But it hasn't yet, right? They're still going to do the tag team title match. So putting Solo Sikoa in this position, really strange. I do think it's just so Damian Priest can beat somebody in a match that's going to be really, really good. Damian Solo kick each other's ass. Maybe the Wyatts do a freaky deaky thing to kind of cost Solo, but I hope not. They probably will, now that I think about it. The MFTs will probably try to interfere, and then the Wyatts will come out, and Damian will boot Solo in the face of him with the Razor's Edge and beat him. And then Sami Zayn versus Ilya Dragunov. Man, did we talk to Sami Zayn? I think they talked to Sami Zayn. He once again spoke about wanting to win the world title. I told you guys about the Ilya Dragunov thing where he was just kind of like, yeah, I want to face you again, Carmelo, but I got something to sort out. So that one, I kind of feel like Sami Zayn is going to win, only because I do think we're going to run back Carmelo and Dragunov down the line. So my assumption, right, for Saturday night's main event is Sami Zayn, Damian Priest, Randy Orton, and Trick Williams. That's what I think it's going to be. I don't want Cardona to be beaten right now, but Trick is clearly trying to feud with top stars, whereas Cardona, his first match back was against, Kit Wilson? Nothing against Kit Wilson. Love his new character. He was on Smackdown last night doing the toxic masculinity thing. Fantastic stuff. Good news from Elton Prince, too, his tag team partner. I think he had double neck fusion surgery and seemed to have gone well, so hope Elton Prince can get back soon. But yeah, it kind of seems like Trick is heading that direction, so I can see him beating Cardona. The Miz isn't doing much right now, so Orton beating The Miz makes sense. Again, I don't see why Solo Sikoa is suddenly in this. He had nothing to do with any world title stuff. He's still feuding with the Wyatts, so Shenanigans Central and Damian will win. And I just feel like Sami Zayn's going to beat Ilya Dragunov because I think Dragunov beats Zayn for the title. So this is kind of a rematch from back when they were both feuding over the U.S. the U.S. Championship. Now neither one of them are champion. Go ahead and let Zayn beat him. If I'm wrong, cool. I would much rather it was Dragunov, Damian, Orton, and Cardona, personally. So that's just my opinion. I don't do picks and predictions for SmackDown very often, but that's going to be good. I do not know who wins because I assume that that the title is going to stay on Drew for now. I assume that we're going to get Drew McIntyre versus the winner of this tournament, which makes me think it should be Randy Orton. Like, their feud from a few years ago was really good. They always have really good chemistry, really good matches. Maybe you even do the triple threat, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, and Cody Rhodes, and then you can start building towards Cody versus Randy. Just my opinion. We'll be there when we get there. But I believe that's it. Somehow my son likes to fall asleep to me talking about pro wrestling. Anyway, I just think that's funny. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave comments down below. And let me know if you want me to continue doing this. I said at the beginning of the video I had kind of a big idea for next week. I'm going to try to go crazy next week. Monday, it'll be the first Raw after everything with CM Punk and Braun Breaker. I don't know what's going to happen for sure. Like, I didn't look up the, what's going to happen next week on Raw. But I'm curious on what's next for pretty much everybody involved in all the storylines. I hope they do something more with the Usos instead of just, hi, we're the Usos, we're the champs, yeet, gone. Unfortunately, I don't think watching NXT would do me any good, but I'm going to watch Raw, Dynamite, TNA, and SmackDown next week. Again, I want to watch Dynamite because I did screw up with the video from this week. Plus, next week is Maximum Carnage. We're doing the Bandito MJF match. And a bunch of other stuff. I don't even know what. I think Kenny Omega is going to be in the house. Bunch of other stuff. So I'm going to watch Dynamite. TNA is having their big debut on AMC. I'm not going to miss that. They've already announced that AJ Styles is going to be there. I bet there's going to be other surprises. TNA is such a good company, especially the last 5 or so years. I'm really, really, really happy AJ Styles gets to be there for obvious reasons if you know about his career. And then, of course, next week on SmackDown, the big 4 matches. Drew McIntyre's WWE Champion. What's Cody Rhodes going to do? What's Jacob Fatu going to do? All this other stuff. So I'm going to watch all 4 of those shows, and I'm going to try to review them. Now, just a heads up, there is every chance that the Raw, Dynamite, and TNA reviews may all be from my car, just because it's hard for me to get reviews done at home after work. Can't guarantee anything, but just so you know. So again, Raw, Dynamite, TNA Impact, and SmackDown all next week, and hopefully reviews for all of those shows. But until then, and until next time, this is JT Channel. I am JT, and I will see you in the next one.